Hello, everybody, my fellow YouTube fans and friends, young and old alike. It is yours truly, KaneFan701, and today you're in for an exclusive treat. For today is the 110th anniversary of the RMS Titanic's sinking. Beginning on this very day 110 years ago, when the ship left Southampton to begin its maiden voyage. As we all know, a disaster was avoided when the ship left Southampton and nearly had a collision with New York, but eventually that was avoided, and eventually the crossing to go from the English Channel into France was a success. Now, as you have all known, this has really been anticipated and been built up really well. Now, as we remember last year, we had a great celebration of just having some good talks and topics about Titanic. And once again, here we are celebrating 110 years. And well, you know what happens on this day and everything, things can get a little bit emotional, things can get a little bit unsettling, and at times things can get a little thrilling. But as promised, this is part one of the celebration, and part two will happen perhaps sometime maybe the day before the actual sinking occurs, or maybe a day afterwards. That I'm still thinking of at this point, but I've said my promise. This is part one, and for anybody who would like to join in on my behalf and everything else, that is more than welcome. For any of you who would like to come and celebrate and join in with this, special day, part one, you are more than welcome to. But you've got to keep in mind we have to be very respectful and we have to, be careful with what we're talking about, because this is one of the, to this very day, Titanic, still strikes a special feeling for a lot of us, whether we're happy, sad, or we think of great stuff, or, try not to think of disasters, But even to this day, 110 years on, it still plagues us, I mean, who can forget, 10 years ago, when the 100th anniversary happened, the entire world was just fixated and was just like focused on Titanic. If you remember, 10 years ago, it was just an amazing year. It was basically a dominant Titanic year, as I can recall. It was the topic of every conversation. And here we are 10 years later. And I still think, in a way, regardless of no matter how many times an era comes and goes, it still strikes with all of us. As it was once said in one documentary in Titanic, once she gets into your life, she never ever leaves. Okay, guys, I've left a link in for anybody who would like to join in and pop in and have a nice conversation or talk about their own interests on this, be more than welcome to pop in. The link's right there, chaps, if you want to come in. Hey there, Williams boy. Nice to see you.
Hey, Kane. As a matter of fact, I was just watching Titanic.
Oh, what a coincidence. And I can see you've got an engine with half the face on. I guess that was from what Narrow Gauge did recently, which has become a big topic.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How trends spread quickly nowadays.
Yep.
But anyways, like I said, today I've kept my word. This is part one of the celebration. I was going to put my captain cap and my jacket on, but unfortunately I'm a little bit busy to do other things, but I might do it on the night of the sinking though. Like I said, I was going to do it for part one, but I've got a funny neck. It's you know, been helping out, and but I'm not going to miss out for this one. So for the rest of the days before we get to April 14th, I'll be like watching documentaries or do anything else to continue celebrating because to me this is Titanic month, regardless, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
Titanic History Month.
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
that could be for the American variation, whereas here in Britain we could just call it Titanic month easily or whatever. But I like the idea of that. I
Yeah.
mean, even to this day, regardless of how many times the story's told, it just never goes away.
No,
You
it
know,
never does. It's a
it always,
legend. It stays there.
it's not just any legend, it's beyond what we would call legendary. It's basically, an event that evolves and transcends, and no matter what people say, regardless of whatever era, just the name and just telling the story can strike an exact nerve to anybody, regardless. For the right reasons and for the sad reasons. But to me, it's a combination of both.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I think I'm gonna watch the movie again.
Well, I only tend to watch the movies regardless which one it is to commemorate the year. Like I either watch Night to Remember or James Cameron's Titanic, or even the Hollywood 1953 version, or any variation. You know, depending on which year it is. And
Like one of the new ones. Um,
yeah, but I tend to watch documentaries for the build up. But
I watch the
it's
documentaries too. They're
yeah, every
amazing.
time. I mean, I'll be watching one later tonight, or maybe so, or whatever the case may be. But still, it's one of those things that highly. It's just how can I explain? I mean, it's only been like what since 2009 that my understandings for the disaster really got me big time. I don't know why, and even to this day, I just continued, mourning and just understanding the loss of life that unfolded that day. You know, hang on a second. Hang on, I'm just doing my calculations. Just let me know in case you want.
Get some grass and get this cleaned up now for that bell.
Yeah,
so
don't
it can
worry.
shine.
Don't worry, I'll get it ready for you. Yeah, I'll get my bell ringing up on the 14. You might hear me ring on the 14. You want me to answer on? Yeah. Hang on, Jack, I'll be right back. It's alright. Just so you know, that's why you want to use it. It's alright, it's just that it's just that on this event, I think it's not getting interrupted.
Shut that and I'll just shut that on the roof.
I did plug mine and that was about to
Do you want a hot drink or my
I'll make myself a hot drink myself. I'm going to do it myself, but thank you for asking. Appreciate it. Also, keep eyes on me, might get some more blue rolls when I get that time there, like, well, just saying, because I still, at any time, that time of the year that when they come out. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to be for the interference, but that happens sometimes, so I do apologise. Sorry about that, Williams. I had a little interference there. That always
Yeah,
happens.
I think when I started watching the movie again, I think it cut me off the stream.
No, I didn't. I actually just walked off. You just kind of left yourself, mate. That's what happened.
Well,
Yeah. Anyways, like I said, it's not just that, but like I said, my introduction to Titanic, apparently, before I get back into that, since 2009, I kind of understood the disaster. I don't know how it came about, but I understood the disaster a lot better. And for some odd reason, I just ended up breaking down in tears. I was mourning. I don't know why. I felt like I was there.
Yeah, some people
Whereas,
do feel like they were there.
yeah, no, it felt like it was. During the 2009 and 9th anniversary, whatever it was. Yeah, that's when it really got me. And then, as a kid growing up, I was just so fascinated. And at the time, I didn't think I'm even the day. Oh, hey, even the even the name of Titanic didn't sound real to me when I was growing up as a kid because it sounded like a fantasy name, the ship itself, and but then when I read the histories that this actually did happen, and then my early years were very magical, should we say, thanks to the movies and the early documentaries, it just glued to me, and I was hooked. Like as an ordinary, historian fan and a little Titanic buff back then, you know,
Hmm.
during the early 90s. I mean, the late 90s, I meant. I
Yep.
mean, how it's evolved over time is just beyond me. What do you think, Williams? Do you have any childhood memories of remembering Titanic in your early days when you first learned upon it?
Hmm. Well, I mean, found out about the history. I found out by the movie. Yeah, I feel like when I was like really really young. Like I watched the I watched the 90 movie, like I think like in 2009.
Mm,
I didn't really understand it at first, but then when I rewatched it again, I understood it. It was sad and heartbreaking, but it was good as
mm.
well.
Yeah,
I
to this
mean, the
day, it's one of
story,
the
the
best.
story, it made sense.
Yeah, if you cut the Rose and Jack, Romeo and Juliet type of story out, then you've got basically the reality of it right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Daniel, you got the wrong impression. James Cameron didn't actually discover Titanic, but he did make Titanic into a movie star afterwards. But the guy who found Titanic was actually Dr. Robert Ballard in 1985, who, ironically enough, was the exact same guy who actually discovered the German battleship Bismarck. Ironically enough. Hey, Wild.
Hello.
Uh,
Oh, I like your icon. That's very clever.
Hold on. Yeah, it's an old one I made a while ago, but yeah.
Well, it looks brand new to me.
hmm
That looks really nice. Like I said, it's a good discovery. Like I said, I'm doing part one of the Titanic anniversary event, and like I said, I promised to bring you in, and here we are.
hmm I woke up earlier than I thought I would.
Now I know you sensed. Basically, you probably sensed something special. Who knows? What it is April 10th. The beginning of Titanic, of the anniversary.
hmm
Starting in New York, starting in Southampton, it would have left on this very day, and at some point it would have, like I think, must have cleared off at this point, and then may have crossed the English Channel into France after a near collision with New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, originally I was gonna wear my originally I was gonna wear my captain cap on and my jacket, to commemorate, but I might do that on part two.
Mm.
That's where things can get a little tense and emotional at times because that's when I tend to watch any of the movies at that point, as if it's that as if I'm gone back in time and there it is. You know, it happens every year with me.
hmm
So, anyways, guys, like I said, if anybody else wants to share their interests, go ahead. Oh, I see my OCs right there. I see Wild on your share screen.
It's not your OC.
Oh,
Like,
similar then.
put
Oh,
the screen on, please.
I have.
Make him,
That was pretty cool.
you know, like you. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
I did.
You're. Don't ask about these things right here because that's all my dad's stuff. I don't know what he's
I'm
doing.
not even
here.
asking. I'm not even asking at all. I'm just looking.
Flying
Oh, it's
Scotsman.
funny. Oh, it's Scotsman. He's playing a similar livery to mine.
Railway Series color Scotsman.
That's the livery I never got to wear. Ooh, you finally managed to get that done. Nice.
It's one of my friend's OCs.
That's lovely.
Random OC. I did not make this. Gordon.
Another Gordon.
Look, diesel locomotive. Oh.
So many Gordons. Oh dear.
That is
So,
glitched. No.
I was going to say we got a bit of a model glitch there.
Henry. Another Henry. Blue Henry.
And there's Henry after he got into Gordon's shape. Don't know why. It looks hilarious.
Bumblebee James. Pink
Oh, God.
James.
I always look at the and whose OC was that then?
Oh,
Someone who
that's
looked
an
like
issue, which I will fix later.
Yeah, I saw someone who looked like Molly then. All the different versions of Thomas I gave you as well.
Oh, I made this as an experiment.
Oh Jesus, that's a failed experiment, dude.
That looks like he woke up on the wrong side of the shed.
Yeah, definitely.
My AU for Thomas.
Hey, that's perfect.
Northwestern Railway.
I gotta admit, I do actually prefer that version of Thomas with the
Egg.
NWR on him. Oh yeah, from yeah.
The paint.
That's really cool. I like that style that you gave Thomas with his NWR
Lady.
style. That's really good. Oh, nice, and plenty of smoke too.
P1.
That's
That's one
how
of my friends OCs again.
that's how big my OC is. The one that you just showed, the P1. That's how big my OC actually is in terms of the boiler wise.
This spinner.
The spinner. It's the spinner engine, brother.
Millie. Murdoch.
Oh dear.
Another Murdoch.
Hey, there's you.
Yep. And a few more friends OCs.
So many.
I don't know what's up with this model.
A glitch maybe.
Like, I don't know what happened to this. I don't see a difference in design.
Two different colors. The cab is kind of different.
9462. 9462 is tender. Oh yeah, I forgot I had this.
Oh, him. Nice.
Oliver, black wheels.
Percy,
version of
regular
Wow.
Percy, no number Percy, AU Percy.
Is this from that website I remember of seeing?
This no.
The one that has like the NWR letters on him.
Yeah, no, not this one. Oh, all the variations of Peter, Sam, friend, Pug.
Isn't that the one? I can't. I'm trying to find the one. See the one that the one Victor used.
It's one of the Midlands engines in that 06 pack.
Which site did
Renee's.
it come from again? Because I'm trying to.
You can find this Pug in the TVS Accurate drive I sent you. It's
Oh yeah,
Midlands.
yeah. I might have to go back in there and have a good look.
It's Midlands.
Looks pretty accurate though.
Mm-hmm.
Looks pretty accurate.
Yes, Richard. Oh yeah, Mall Series, Merlin.
Jesus Christ, that looks terrible. I mean the deflectors on and they're way too.
Well, I mean that's not
That's
intentional.
the glitch.
That's not supposed to be there. I don't know why that's
That's what I
happening.
mean. Yeah, it doesn't even look like him for crying out loud.
Rebecca,
Oh, so that's what Rebecca
Roderick.
looks like.
Roderick again. Oh,
Roderick.
old Rose. Rosie.
I prefer that one. Actually.
Rusty. Oh yeah, the Wild Northwester Edward.
The best version of Edward, that in my
Yep.
opinion, Railway series.
I think the Railway
Oh
series
yeah,
are the best
Molly.
version of all the engines. You know.
When I was fixing this model, I ended up downloading this model, which is funny.
It does look
Yes,
funny.
Miati.
Sydney, Sir
Sydney.
Handel, Scarloey, the
So many
Skyworks
engines.
locomotives.
Duck.
Anyways, we might be getting off topic a little bit. Oh, we get Billy
Splatter,
Stewart in here.
Stepney.
Hey Billy,
Stewart,
welcome on board.
Other Stewart.
Okay, I cut my shirt out for a sec. Hey Billy
Right.
Judge, you're on board, pal. Wake up, mate. Got you in.
Horn engine. The other red engine. The red engine.
Oh, good lord. Someone's up there.
Comments.
Someone's cell phone thing's going off. So anyways, like I said, I'm going to see if I can find someone we can try and celebrate or have a good talk with, because that's what this whole stream's about. If anybody's interested.
Oh, I forgot I had this.
What? Forgot what?
Like,
Oh, that one, yes. I discovered that.
Yeah, this Thomas pack. With all,
Yeah,
like,
I've got this.
the small...
I was so happy. I was so happy I got this, and I was like so thrilled. Yeah, that's definitely going to work so well. Yeah, I marked out when I saw it. I was like, yes! And that one too. I was just so happy, man. Yes, Thomas, I know you're scared. And there's the one that you said you were happy to have as well when I gave you.
Thomas.
Okay, that version of Thomas is really cool.
It is.
The dark flesh. Yes, and Thomas is absolutely PO'd. Yeah, he ain't happy. He never is. And there's Timothy. Yep, that came with a pole. The pack I gave you.
16, Barry, Alfred.
I think Timothy was actually a good creation. You know.
Thanks, man.
I forgot about this.
You showed me that one yesterday. Yeah, it was really good. I mean, there are some who recognise me still for it. I still appreciate.
Donald, Douglas, Doug.
I've managed to get Emily working now. It was an easy fix after all. Hey, there's me.
Hey.
Hey. Still got some more reskiing to get through.
Still need to fix this.
What the heck? What happened to you, Percy?
It's GW or Percy?
Oh, I see.
Yep. James, Jared, Jax.
Oh, good lord. Another experimental error.
Jackson, Jinsey, William, Neville, number 8, which is still a work in progress.
Oliver.
Oh yeah, one of my other Hound engines. Rose.
Hey, Tommy Trains.
Sally, Samuel, Sherry. Still need to change her faces.
Timothy tried to get the NPRE2 to spend $1 on an app store, but the NPRE2 refused.
Timothy. Here's Timothy. Toby.
Yes,
Tom.
that's the time I would say that. It's really
The
good.
unoverhauled Wild. Will. Ian. Jake. Red Max. Crimson. Edward G. Joseph. Siegel.
There's too many
Ricardo.
OCs around.
Victoria. Oh, her face is back there. Wilbert. Oh, and my
Talking about
failed
the
Wilbert. Yeah, my failed Wilbert.
Fail.
oh,
Wilbur,
Look like
the oldest version of Wild, and William. Oh, and that's it.
nice.
Oh yeah, and then there's this and this. Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, we get it. Okay, driver. Okay. So this is Barrow, just kind of a freelance.
Freelancer Barrow Furnace.
Mm-hmm.
I thought so. That's actually not too bad, actually.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Just keep going. Just keep on doing what you're doing. It might work out. So, you might just continue on with what you gotta do, and then you'll be,
Alright, so this is what Jax looks like in full.
Oh, jeez.
no.
He looks horrified.
I mean, that's just this face he spawns with. But, hold on, let me get his face.
Body's built like James. Face built like Percy.
Here we go. I think I found one that was one of my favorites. Yeah, we make plenty of OCs. Some are good and some are like a mix, but I gotta say, there are some cool looking OCs, I will admit. Depends on what taste it is, really, but again.
So is this a backstory on Arthur's old railway?
There we go. Here's what I was looking for. That I downloaded recently. Off the download station, and I like it.
Hey, I've been trying to find them coaches. They're pretty nice.
You guys can hear my screen, right?
Yeah, we can. Wait, isn't that Alfred's theme?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's just because I gave him Alfred's ultimate whistle, and I like it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Cool. Don't get me wrong. Alfred's whistle is really good.
It is.
I prefer it to be. I prefer that whistle that he has compared to what he had in other ones. It even goes with the theme that you're playing on there too. I would admit it does look pretty good, except the barrel. If I had that, I would have done some improvements here and there, but I would make something else. But it looks pretty good. Anyways, I got mine uploaded now, mate, so got something cool to watch with Titanic that I had growing up as a kid. It was one of my first documentaries, to be honest with you. When I was only young.
Like 52?
What did I tell you yesterday?
Like,
No,
not
not no.
over.
No, I mean there's one from the late early 90s I had.
Glenn, there's a comment for you. Somewhere in the YouTube comments.
Yeah, in the chat, yeah. Saying Daniel Clough or whatever his name is. Yes, I know about Casey Jones, the accident of that engine that happened, yeah. It's one of the most infamous accidents that ever happened. Oh, Lord. Yes, Tommy Trains, I can see that. Indeed, that is true. Does anybody believe that, lads?
I
On the
don't
screen, I've
even
just
know.
got.
Do you believe that?
I would like to, but I am unconvinced.
Yeah.
Anyways, I've got my thing up right now, so here we go. Something I grew up watching.
Mm.
Here we go. A little nostalgia for us, for any of you guys. If you can see it.
There have been many maritime disasters, but none have caught the public imagination in such a dramatic and lasting way as that of the Titanic. She was the pride of her company, the White Star Line. She was the biggest ship in the world. Yet her collision with an iceberg on her fateful Maiden voyage, her sinking, and the loss of some 1,500 lives, sealed her place in history. The tragic events of April 1912 are unforgettable. Never again would men feel so confident in technology. It was claimed in the press that she was unsinkable, and her sinking left valuable lessons to be learned. The legend of the Titanic lives on and grows with each retelling. But let's return to the early years of the century and trace the birth of this great liner and her sister ships, for she was one of three. In the Edwardian era, Britain was building 50% of the world's merchant ships. Her shipbuilding and railway engineering were unsurpassed throughout the world, and her worldwide possessions made the British Empire the greatest the world had ever seen, the empire on which the sun rose. The most lucrative trading route was that with North America. The North Atlantic became both the major sea route and the most important for passenger trade. At that time, there were no restrictions on emigrants from Europe entering the New World, and thousands made the cut. Britain vied, chiefly with Germany, to build the biggest, fastest, and most luxurious liners, and so capture both the well-to-do travelers and the bread-and-butter immigrant trade. By 1906, Germany had both the largest liner, the Kaiserin August Victoria, at 24,581 tons, and the fastest, the Kaiser Wilhelm II, a speed of 23.6 knots. Britain outshone them both in 1907 with the Cunard liners Lusitania and Mauretania, both at 32,000 tons and speeds of over 26 knots. They were built with sympathies from the Admiralty, who wanted to regain British prestige and prevent Cunard from being taken over by an American convoy, the International Mercantile Marine Company, the IMM. The subsidy also meant the two liners could be adapted in time of war as armed merchant cruisers. Already under American financial control was the Oceanic Steam Navigation Company, more popularly known as the White Star Line. This company had opted out of the race to build the fastest liners and chose comfort and safety as their priorities. The American backing enabled the company to embark on an ambitious plan to produce a trio of liners to provide a weekly Atlantic service. They were the largest, most luxurious, and safest ships in the world, 50% larger than the Cunard giants. They were to be called Olympic, Titanic, and Gigantic, the last being eventually named Britannic. On July 1st, 1907, the order for the first two ships was placed at Harland Street of Belfast. They were given the shipyard numbers 400 and 401. Major changes were needed at the Queen's Island shipyard. 2 existing slipways were demolished and 2 new ones laid in their place. These were straddled by a gantry giving clear spaces of 100 feet between rows of supporting towers. The 840 feet long gantry.
Yep, for those of you who don't know, that's exactly where Titanic and her sisters were built in, the exact place where the museum now stands on, which is where I've been. It's a very humbling experience if you go there.
Surmounted by a mobile crane with a span of 135 feet and lifting capacity of 3 tons. 6 mobile frames each carried 10 radial cranes, with lifts and ramps to transport men and materials to the various levels of construction. A large floating crane was purchased from Germany, and the construction of a new dry dock commenced.
And that thing is still there still to this very day. It gives you an immense size of just how big and long these massive vessels were.
The number of employees at the shipyard doubled to 11,300 during the building and fitting out of the 2 immense liners. The designer of the ships was Thomas Andrews. He was the nephew of Lord Pirrie, chairman of Harland and Wolff, and was a well-connected member of Irish society. He worked with his deputy, Edward Wilding, using a drawing office full of draftsmen and a huge model of the proposed class of ship. The keel of the Olympic was laid on January the 1st, 1909. That of the Titanic on March the 16th.
Yep, that's the killer Titanic being laid down as it was being built.
The construction of the 2 massive hulls progressed apace. The Olympic a few months ahead of the Titanic, to ease pressure on the shipyard production shops.
There's a sister Olympic, the one in grey, and there's Titanic partially completed.
On October the 20th, 1910, the Olympic was launched. She was painted grey to allow press photographers better views of the liner, and the launch took just 62 seconds.
Yep, that's the Olympic first came out.
She was then towed to the new deep water quay for fitting out, leaving the black painted Titanic still caged in her surrounding gantry. These new vessels were designed to have service speeds of 21 knots. The engines generated 55,000 horsepower. Cunard had opted for marine turbines to propel their record breakers, but Harland and Wolff adopted their favorite combination: reciprocating engines to drive the two 23 feet 6-inch diameter outer propellers, the steam from which then exhausted into a low-pressure turbine which turned the ahead-only 16 feet 6-inch center propeller, providing steam for the engines with 24 double and 5 single-ended boilers, containing 159 furnaces. 7 months after her launch,
Olympic was finally ready up, and after 2
2
days,
days of successful sea trials, the Olympic finally
They
left
left.
Belfast on May the 31st, 1911.
this was absolutely
This was a
brilliant
brilliantly
timing
timed publicity exercise.
because the
The
Titanic
Titanic
herself
herself
was
was
finally
finally
born
launched
on that
on that
same
same
day.
For this occasion, the landward end of the building gantry was decked with 1 Union Jack and 1 Stars and Stripes, with a White Star pennant in the center, below which code flags spelled out "Success." About
The
100,000 people
being
watched
launched.
as, just after quarter
Past
past noon, the liner, urged on by hydraulic rams, slid backwards into the river later,
There was little
There
ceremony
was little
taking
ceremony.
place.
as was the White Star custom. Later, when the Britannic was launched, a retired shipyard worker recalled,
They
"They
just
just
built
build
them
them
and
and
chuck
chuck
them
them
in.
In just 62 seconds, she slid into the water and was brought to a halt by the tons of drag chains attached by cables along her hull.
Yep, and that's what Titanic looked like when she was launched. Still incomplete, but yeah, definitely looking really good.
The following day, June the 1st, her sister ship anchored in the Mersey off Liverpool, the traditional home and port of registration of the White Star Line. It was her only visit to the Mersey, but she then headed for Southampton, the line's main port since 1907, where the London and South Western Railway had built a new large dock to accommodate this new class of wonder ship, twice the size of the 20,000-ton liners the port had become used to. The dock, known as the White Star Dock until the late 1920s, is 1,700 feet long, 400 feet wide, enclosing 16 acres of water. It was later to be used by such liners as the Queen Mary, the Queen Elizabeth, and eventually the new Huey II. Harland and Wolff had built a ship repair works at Southampton, but major repairs would have to be done in the new dry dock back at Belfast. The Olympic set sail on her maiden voyage at noon on Wednesday, June the 14th.
Hey guys, if you guys want to join in, lads, guys, Kyra's World and Aaron and all you guys, you can pop in if you want. I have plenty of space. Okay,
We were
Phil, I
just
don't know what.
talking about Murdoch.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody else wants to come in, they can, because I'm liking where this is going.
Like I said, we need more Murdoch.
Yeah, if anybody else wants. Indeed, yeah. Indeed, Williams. Titanic, in my opinion, to this day is the best ocean liner that ever got built.
Greatest beauty. Sweet
Well,
view.
I mean, everybody else, there are some great liners, but like I said, Titanic will always be, the greatest ever. I mean, it's like the Flying Scotsman, the Queen Mary, Mallard, or even any
Yeah.
famous one with a famous name. Despite Titanic was a tragedy, it still had a positive impact in other things that it can be proud of, and what we were aiming for back in them days, so the technology that we had.
Captain was Edward John Smith,
There's the captain.
senior Atlantic captain, and destined for command of her sister ship. Also on board was J. Bruce Ismay, the company's managing director. He was preparing a meticulous report on the ship's layout, fittings, and service, and many alterations to these provisions were subsequently made on the Titanic. The biggest changes were to be on Bridge Deck B, with luxurious parlor suites extending to the ship's side, thus removing the promenade for much of its length and increasing the gross tonnage by 1,004 tons.
This is
The
what basically.
reception hall by the aft grand stairway, a large restaurant with sea views, and a café parisien, complete with trellis work and growing ivy.
What you're seeing is basically what Olympic had, and of course on Titanic as well. But also, like I said, these vessels were having features that no other ocean liner before had ever seen. Like I said, they were really early in the age of the superliner.
Both ships have electric lifts, swimming baths, first afloat, Turkish bath, squash courts, and gymnasium.
Okay, I don't know what's going on, Billy, but it kind of is really getting me a bit of a headache, so I'm sorry, pal. I'm gonna have to cut you out. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what Billy Dudd's saying or whatever he's doing, but it was getting a little irritating. I do apologise for that, lads. Hey, Tommy Trains is here with us too. Nice to see you. You finally decided to pop in. Welcome on board, Tommy Trains. It's nice to see you.
Can you hear me, Kane?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Well, this is
Very
my
good.
first time being on a broadcast.
Boy, Christ. Sorry, I just made me giggle. That's really cool. It's fine, mate. Like I said, you're in for a special treat. We're doing it on the Titanic's 110th anniversary, so good timing. And of course, we're
Yeah.
looking at some nostalgia. This is like one of the documentaries I grew up with. You know, and I was learning this was back in 1990, back in the early 90s. I mean, late 90s, back when this was on VHS at the time, and I got it during I think 97 or 98, or was it 99? I can't quite remember, but it was around that time period.
Interesting. Oh, you want to hear my Thomas impression of John Bellis?
I've heard it's a pretty good impression, but give it a shot.
I can do it in the Thomas and Gordon scene.
Nice.
All right.
Go for it.
Sodo Railway, really reliable and right on time. And you're just being bossy, Gordon. Now, please excuse me. I have to collect Mr. Conductor. He's going to take care of us while the fat controller takes a much-needed holiday.
Oh, I think we all take care of ourselves, little Thomas. Sorry, oh, dang it. I went almost into a lighter version of Darth Vader's voice there for a second. My apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try and speak the old British language with Gordon in that way. That was a pretty good impression, though.
Thanks.
Very, very good. Ah, Carl as well has popped up with us too. He's decided to join in too, but he's got his thing muted. Anyways, if I put him in, I think he'll be alright. Cut. Yeah. If you'd like to, Carl, I can put you in, but if you want to stay back there, that's okay. I understand. Anyways.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
But the Titanic acquired a reputation of being more luxurious.
This is actually all that's left of Olympic when they were somewhere at the Lake Swan Hotel were there. So this is what's left of what Olympic is, and could have shown what Titanic would have looked like.
Because of these many improvements. Richly carved paneling, stained glass windows, deeply piled carpets, and many other fitments of both luxury and necessity were bringing the Titanic to completion. She would be a floating palace.
So this is all that's left of Olympic. It shows you what Titanic could have looked like.
But completion, and ultimately the date of her maiden voyage, was delayed, owing to the return of the Olympic to Belfast following a collision near Southampton with the cruiser HMS Hawke on September the 20th. The Hawke's bow was badly damaged. The hole in the Olympic was 40 feet high and extended 8 feet into the ship. There was a second hole at the waterline caused by the cruiser's beak-like ram. Some witnesses claimed the huge bulk of the liner caused an undertow, which sucked the smaller ship into her side. This phenomenon was later to cause a near accident on the Titanic's departure from Southampton. The Olympic was taken to the new dry dock at Belfast, and men were taken from fitting out the Titanic to speed the repairs. On February the 24th, 1912, Olympic returned again for repairs to a propeller. Eventually, following these delays, and 11 months after her launching, the Titanic was at last ready for sea trials.
That's what she would look like just before her final modifications would happen.
One final modification had been to enclose and glaze her forward promenade on A deck. Olympic, this section of promenade was prone to wetting by spray. This gave the Titanic a visual feature distinguishing her from her sister. Trials began on June 2nd in the Irish Sea under the command of her captain, Edward John Smith, who had left the Olympic in Southampton and travelled to Belfast. He had taken his finest and final command and took the ship on to Southampton. Still with last-minute interior work in progress, she was not opened to the public for inspection, as was the custom. The ship was thoroughly inspected by a Board of Trade representative. The brand new lifeboats were lowered and rowed around in the dock to the inspector's satisfaction before being hauled back on board. They were moored by the Welin type of davit, and although these could each handle several boats in succession during an emergency, the actual number of lifeboats fitted on the Titanic complied to a Board of Trade ruling made 20 years earlier.
So technically, as we've all known, apparently Titanic was following an outdated rule and regulations. That's basically what was going on. I can see you guys have got yourself muted. You don't have to worry about that.
Are you okay with me showing my Thomas customs?
Yes, you can if you'd like to. It's like I said, I mean, you just got to remember this is what we're celebrating. At the same time. That's alright, I've got you on full screen, mate. Don't worry, Tommy, I've got you on full screen.
Also,
Nice to see you.
consider reading about your Timothy.
Yeah?
Here he is.
Oh,
Here's the
nice.
face, by the way. I did the face of Timothy.
This is actually a good model.
That's really good, very impressive.
Yeah, you know, my first encounter with Timothy was Tank Engine 97's video, and that's how I got hooked to Timothy.
Same, almost the same with me.
Oh,
mate.
you meant the actor, the voice actor for Thomas in the movie?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, my good
Another
buddy,
thing.
yeah, my best friend.
Also, here's the J50 Thomas, by the way.
Nice reenactment. Oh, bloody hell, Tom onto his eyes. That's really good.
That is.
Not very often I see the J50, but that's going to be good for when we get to the 80th anniversary of the Railway series.
I also made a Thomas custom, and this is a combination of pretty much basing Thomas's Railway series designed by Reginald Payne and combining the adventures of Thomas Livery, and I named him Thomas Payne.
Nice. Very clever.
Nice.
Nice combination of the two variations of him. Right, that's pretty impressive.
And also, here's my OC.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, that looks
With the
good.
shades in the middle. That's awesome. That's awesome, mate. That's very, very cool.
Considering that you guys made your OCs, I also have my own OCs as well.
Very impressive.
Oh, wait, hold on. Pretty much, I made this my OC. This is a female E2 tank engine. Her name is Sophie. And
nice.
yeah.
Sophie.
That looks nice.
Another one is pretty much this engine using Rebecca, and his name is Adam.
Oh, another Adam, not related to what we saw. Oh yeah, one of Rebecca's siblings.
Yeah.
Very clever. Very clever.
Also, another one of my OCs, which is pretty much, this is not a Gina, but this is Veronica.
Oh,
Although I wanted her to be the NER class A1.
Oh, basically, it's one of Levia's siblings or whatever. Nice.
Mm.
Very, very clever.
And there's my Flying Scotsman model.
Hey, Flying Scotsman, mate. That's my man.
One thing I'm not proud of my Flying Scotsman is the tender. It
I
just
see.
feels a bit dinky. I was actually thinking of doing some improvements
it looks
with
pretty
him.
good, though. It looks accurate for me, though. It passes for me.
You
Looks
sure?
nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
you mean
You did a really
delivery
good job
template.
on this model.
That's pretty good.
I also made a Tugs model. Here's 10 cents.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God.
That is nice.
Movable head. Oh, pretty
Yeah.
clever. That's quite
Yep.
impressive.
Long live Flying Scotsman.
We don't normally see custom tug models nowadays, but they're getting a good following, especially in the trains.
I also made a Diesel 10 with a moving claw. Here's
I
the
see.
terrifying face.
That is pretty accurate.
Very, very accurate. Okay, I think we might want to get back on track there for a second. Again, very, very good. Again, I know you're not happy with your Flying Scotsman tender, but to me, it passes. Like, I really think it looks good. It kind of accurates a much younger looking Flying Scotsman.
About your OC, did you just change your OC from Henry to Gordon?
No. The idea was originally I was going to have Henry's boiler and have Gordon's tender instead. But instead, I figured that, because I'm a big fan of Flying Scotsman and I have family ties to it, I decided to have Gordon's boiler section and have Henry's tender instead, and it kind of worked because that would thus make my character a combination of a LMS, LNER type of mixture, basically being a powerhouse / fast capable locomotive. But to put it technically, it's like my character's one of the biggest, if not official, mixed traffic engines, but I mostly am a passenger service locomotive. But I'm capable of taking anything in my TVS form as a combination. But in the railway series, I'm completely all passengers. I'm just basically Gordon's bigger but youngest sibling. Meaning bigger means I'm much more bigger than an A0. If you read my story origin, you'll know I'm a lot bigger.
I haven't read your stories in DeviantArt, sorry.
Well, you should check him out. Yeah, like I said, I did one where I actually did my two Henry's theory thing where I emerged looking completely even much bigger than I was supposed to be. And then you will see what I looked like. That's the closest to my railway series form you'll ever see me as.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I'm much bigger than Henry and Gordon. Anyways,
Yeah, consider. Oh, sorry. You were saying something?
No. Considering what?
I don't know. Remember when I said no one has never made Bloomer?
Yeah.
Here she is.
You mean he or she? Ooh,
My own
Okay.
AU for Bloomer is a girl because Tailem Studio stated that Bloomer was named after basing off the women wearing trousers. So for my own AU, Bloomer's a girl.
I see. Oh, speaking of which, I spoke with Talon Studios. He's a nice chap. I like him. We first met up when I was doing my 2 Henry streaming, and it just took off from there. That was one of the best streams I've ever done. I can still be proud of because it was amazingly done. So yeah, it's time actually. Bloomer's is starting to emerge a little bit. Stories are starting to come out, so it's obviously we're heading in a new direction in the fandom. We're trying to get somebody to be recognized, and hopefully if anyone can do like a Trains 06 custom version or whatever the case may be, or maybe on tip of 3D Studios, maybe in that same place, maybe they can make Boomer there in a way.
I think I did saw a video where someone's I think Sudrian Rails video where they did showcase the Bloomer model.
Yeah, but I meant like they could do one that could work for Train 12 like I've got. That would be quite intriguing because I am interested in who Bloomer could be, and of course we know very little. And I think, as you know, NWR 91, Wild Wester, or Shunter Productions, and all the great classics who know how to tell model stories in their train stuff, I think they could bring Bloomer to life. I think they're the only guys who I think could actually bring him to life officially for the Railway series in a way. Well, I do believe guys like Tail Lamp Studios could also have an opportunity to bring a story about the Loco as well. I think he has potential. But who knows? I mean, it's funny because when W. Audrey did characters that weren't able to make it, it's like you can thank Wild and Wester. We can take the OCs and make any story we'd like about them, as long as they stick to historical accurates, which is really cool.
Speaking of Thomas OCs, I'm a sensitive person, and I'm often worried for my OC because, as you stated, pretty much that many people are angry of way too many E2 OCs. I'm pretty much going crazy and pretty much going sensitive. Either if I should change my OC or I should leave it to be who I am.
Just keep it as you are, Pat. If you want to be that way, that's fine. I wouldn't judge anybody. Look at Brandon. He, aka Ginger Jesus, as we call him. He's got many variations of himself, and it's not a problem. I've always kept myself as who I am, and I won't change that. I mean, heck, it wouldn't matter if I was an E2, if I was, someone's got me in a smaller variation of Edward's class, and it wouldn't bother me. As long as it's what they wanted me, I'll be okay with it. It's kind of cool, but I won't bother. I'm okay with OCs, but I'm very protective with mine and everything. But at the same time, I'm being fair with those who know how to make really good OCs that we can consider canon as who we are in the Railway series, if not the television version. Anyways, back to on track where we were.
I don't know if in Titanic if they did make a sequel or not.
No, they didn't.
Oh.
They didn't make any sequels, although they did make that one 10 years ago, which was a terrible, terrible modern version, in terms of like that Titanic 2 film, which we will not get into for obvious reasons.
Titled Jack is Back.
Yeah, I see him. Yes, it was. We kind of got off topic there, Carla. There's a massive broom downstairs. It's absolutely huge. With massive big broomstick downstairs. Yeah, I was going to say that's going to laugh when you see that. No, I was just going to say it's that big. I know. Apologise there, guys.
Oh, look at that. We made it into 1 hour.
10,000 tons or over. A large ship in the 19th century should carry 16 lifeboats. But the Titanic is 46,000 tons. White Star, in fact, provided 4 extra in the form of Engelhart collapsible boats with planked bottoms and collapsible canvas sides. The number of passengers was not considered, just the letter of the law. In fact, this was only half the number of lifeboats required to accommodate a full complement of passengers and crew in the event of a disaster. Captain Smith is the White Star's senior captain. For many years he had taken White Star vessels on their maiden voyages. He was born on the 27th of January, 1850, in Hanley, Stoke-on-Trent. He was the son of Edward Smith, a potter and later a greengrocer, and Catherine Smith. He was educated at a Trurier British school, one of the first day schools in the potteries. One of his first jobs was as a steam hammer operator at a Trurier forge, but he left the area at the age of 21 to join the Mercantile Marine. His progress was so swift that he captained his first ship when he was 24 years old. In an outstanding career, he eventually became commander and commodore of the White Star Line. His employers had absolute faith in his skill and judgment. His career had been unblemished by any accident apart from the incident on the Olympic. He was a tall, distinguished, quietly spoken man, and, coming up to retirement, the Titanic was to be the pinnacle of his career. Since January 1912, the country had been in the grip of a coal strike, causing many liners to be laid up, and putting 17,000 men out of work in Southampton. By April, the strike was on its last legs, To enable the Titanic to set sail, coal had to be taken off other ships laid up in the docks. The White Stars, Oceanic and Majestic, and the New York, Philadelphia, St. Louis, and St. Paul of the American line. On Wednesday, April the 10th, hundreds of passengers and crewmen boarded the Titanic. It was a bright, sunny day. The boat train from London brought the well-to-do, including the millionaire Benjamin Guggenheim and William Stead, editor of the Pall Mall Gazette, who was going to America on the invitation of President Taft to deliver a speech at the World Peace Conference on April the 22nd. All levels of society were represented on this palace ship.
As the event would have happened 110 years ago on this day when it left for Southampton.
At noon, the ropes holding the liner to the quay were cast off, and 6 tugs slowly pulled her away from the quay. There were cheers from the assembled crowd, the waving of handkerchiefs, and the shouting of last-minute messages between ship and shore. The Titanic moved out into the River Test and began to move under her own steam, her 3 screws powerfully pushing her 46,000 tons slowly forward. But she displaced such an amount of water in the channel that the liner New York, moored alongside the Oceanic, broke her moorings and drifted out sternwards towards the giant ship. Captain Smith and pilot George Bowyer stopped the central propeller and ordered the outer propellers to be set at full astern. This stopped the New York when she was only 12 feet from the Titanic's stern and brought the great ship herself to rest. The tug Vulcan placed herself between the vessels, had ropes thrown onto the New York, and as the Titanic now moved backwards a little, towed the New York round the dockhead corner into the River Itchen and out of trouble. This near collision was seen by many as a bad omen, and put another, if only slight, delay in her departure. The liner proceeded down Southampton water, passing high to starboard and the western shore in Italy, with its ruined abbey and huge military hospital to port.
Hey, Robert.
Good.
The handle, and finally rounded Calcutta and then into the Soul.
That place is still there. And there's the photograph of it taken with that same spot.
In glorious sunshine, the Titanic sailed out past Cowes and the Isle of Wight and into the open sea towards Cherbourg, where she was to arrive at 6:30 p.m. to take on more bags of mail and passengers. These included more millionaires, such as John Jacob Astor and his wife, and various socialists, some seeing the maiden voyage of the world's largest liner as a good way to end their European holiday. Now she turned westward through the English Channel to call at Toontown, now Cove, in Ireland, just before noon on April the 11th. More mailbags were taken up, and some mail and passengers delivered to the island. Remaining on board the Titanic were 322 first-class passengers, 277 second-class, and 709 third-class, making her about half full, and 898 crewmen. 3,818 sacks of mail had been loaded, and this would partly be sorted in the Paxton post office. She weighed anchor at 1:30 p.m. and headed out into the Atlantic towards New York.
Okay.
And that is said to be the actual last photo shot of Titanic
Wait.
before the discovery.
Okay.
Yeah, this will be the last. Yeah, no way we ever see her ever again until 1985.
Where's my exact going?
Oh, Is that supposed to be some sort of ship you got there by the Tommy Trains?
No, it's Kai's World.
I just made my own boat.
Oh, it's like a tramp.
The ship.
Nice.
I'm starting to get interested in wood design carving, making like wooden model toys like these.
Robert, your thing's echoing, pal. Your mic's echoing.
Somebody's mic is echoing.
Yeah, Robert, your mic's echoing on your end.
No, it's not.
It's not
It
mine.
is-
Life on board an ocean liner consisted of eating and occupying one's time between meals as best one could. The first-class passengers had the ship's five-man band, led by Wallace Hartley, to entertain them. Hartley had previously played on the Morris Angel, another prestigious liner. The band played everything from Strauss and Offenbach to the stately Jacobean Room to ragtime and cakewalks for afternoon dances. A separate trio played in the reception room and cafe Brasileiro. A piano was provided for the use of the third class, and an Irish piper and fiddler would play for their communal dancing. Ball games in the forward and aft welding were popular with the third class. These could be seen by spectators from the other classes on the tiers of decks above. These others had space enough for deck tennis, pickleball, or promenades round the wide boat. Inside, the first and second class libraries and games. To cater for over 2,000 people for 6 weeks, head chef Mr. C. Proctor would store inboard 75,000 pounds of various meats, 25,000 pounds of poultry, including quail, bird, chicken, turkey, and plover, 15,000 bottles of beer, and 1,000 of wine, 1,000 pounds of tea, 1,200 pounds of coffee, and tons of fruit, vegetables, jams, and other items. In third class, the food was basic but plentiful. People said that third class on Titanic was as good as first class on any other line. There were two dining rooms for first class, a Jacobean room and an upcount restaurant with the adjoining patio area. The latter two being run by Monsieur Gatton on behalf of the Guard Starline.
Yeah, definitely it's coming on your end, Robert, that's really not good. But, sheesh. We can get some other guys to join in, we're doing really well.
The bugler sounded the call for dinner in the evening. During the voyage, the weather remained fine, the sea calm, but with a chilling breeze. It was to get colder on Sunday, April the 14th. In the radio room, ship-to-shore contact was made possible again as the ship came in range of Cape Race, and the operators were kept busy with current messages and the backlog which had built up through a breakdown of the system 2 days previously. Ice warnings had been received during Sunday by the two Marconi operators in the radio room, Jack Phillips and his assistant, Harold Bride. Their prime job was to transmit and receive private messages, known as Marconigrams, stock exchange information, and news. These private messages bring the company its revenue. Official messages received for the ship indicated that there was pack ice and large and small icebergs in the shipping lanes, although it was not appreciated that these warnings represented one huge ice field. Messages to the ship itself were pinned on a notice board for the information of the navigating officers, but not all the ice warnings were posted. An 11 a.m. warning had read, America passed 2 icebergs in 41 degrees 27 minutes north, 50 degrees 8 minutes west on the 14th of April. A message received from the Saba at 9:40 p.m. stated, ice report in latitude 42 degrees to 41 degrees 25 minutes north, longitude 49 degrees to 50 degrees 30 minutes west. Saw much heavy pack ice and great number large icebergs, also field ice. Weather good, clear. Assistant operator Harold Bride was off duty, but chief operator Jack Phillips was snowed under with sending and receiving private messages. He put this later message to one side for subsequent delivery to the bridge. He was not to know that this message warned of ice directly in the path of the Titanic.
That's true, he would never know. I know we're still going, but I'm just not one of the guys to join with us. Phone will be joining us.
Is it Titanic 2 that's going to be rebuilt in a few years?
Well, it's supposed to happen this year, actually.
You know something about in China? I think they're building a replica of like
There's
the
two
Titanic.
replicas. There's one that's still good. That's the other one you're referring to is Clive Palmer's Titanic. That's the one I'm hoping we'll get to see. It's been 10 years since he announced it. It hasn't happened yet, but I know for a fact it's going to happen. But I don't care what other people think it's going to be a hoax or whatever, but this is the ultimate tribute that Titanic deserves, and it was the happy ending that it had. Basically, even though it's not the original, as far as I'm concerned, it's basically Titanic in a brand new body being resurrected and having a second chance of life. That's how I look at it. Which is kind
You
of
ever
ironic.
wish to like you want to go back in time if you were in the Titanic?
Yes.
Wait, Billy?
A lot of
Wait,
us
Billy's
do.
here.
Yeah. Heck, I did fanfics on the Titanic, despite it's a bit, controversial, but I do have an OC in there as if I were there, though.
I remember that video from someone by the name of Shine, where Thomas met the Titanic and was surprised.
Look. That was a good project that never came to be, sadly. But I still wish it had been around because I was going to be a big deal of that one, you know. It's a shame he's got rid of them. It's a shame because they were among the best ever. I even helped in the music video. Sad. Look, Joshua, I don't think I'll be doing any more Ghost Train Cyrus with Timothy. Like I said, I'm semi-retired now. I mean, this
So
is the
you're
new...
done with Timothy?
Can we get Billy in?
No. Timothy actually is a good guy. I'm rebooting him now. He's not dark anymore. He's a good guy.
So you're gonna bring him back sooner?
No, I'm still writing fanfics on him still, and it's just going to be a repackaged good story where he had the same accident, but he made it. You know, like he's still you know. Anyways, here's the new Titanic. You know, basically being resurrected. This is what she would look like.
Man, the wiki says Titanic 2.
Yeah, she is. That's what's like. That's basically what she's gonna look like when she's resurrected.
You know, and what the course got quite like with the if it was the Britannia Titanic came to the rescue.
There we go. That's what it looks like. There's a full detail
Oh,
in proposed. That's what she'll look like when built, hopefully.
you know what the one your screenshots of Costa Concordia with Titanic and Lusitania coming to the rescue.
Oh god. That's the one you're referring to. The other Titanic replica in China being built. That's the one you're referring to.
Yes.
Apparently, as of now, the last couple of years, the forecastle section of the Battle Titanic is just about nearly done.
Whoa.
So one replica will be complete, and the other one hopefully will hopefully get back on track sooner or later.
Have you ever thought of like making your own Titanic show or movie in trains?
Can we get
really.
Billion?
I would like to, but the thing is, I'm still doing my fanfics on it still. I'm actually going to do another. Hopefully, I'll do my own take on Thomas and the Titanic story because I'm trying to get one done for the year because I've tried every single time and we kept failing and we couldn't deliver. Hopefully, I can get a fanfic done because I've done one with Lusitania, I've done one with the Britannic, hopefully, and now I can get one with Titanic sorted.
But anyway, see, RMS Olympic is only the surviving ship.
Well, was until it got scrapped, and now you saw what its remains are. Jeez.
Or in Mauritania.
They should have both been saved, in my opinion. Anyways, here's where we get to the part where it's going to get really good. If I hope Ronnie can make it up, if he can pop in.
Do we get Billion?
We will. Don't tell. Hey, don't. Hey, I'm the captain of the stream here. You don't tell the boss what to do, otherwise you're going overboard.
Oi, oi, Captain.
Otherwise, you might get thrown into the propeller blades like they do on the Titanic. You don't want to go there with me, pal. So, don't. Sorry, Tommy. I'm not saying. I'm just letting Robert know who's in charge. Okay.
Sorry.
I know. I'm just letting him know. Jeez. Anyways.
At 11 p.m., the Leyland liner Californian was not far away, stopped and blocked in by ice. During the course of the evening, Phillips rebuked the Marconi operator on the Californian for interrupting his calls to Cape Race. Later, as he came off duty, the Californian's wireless operator switched off his set and turned in for the night. Captain Smith had been to a dinner party held in his honor in the restaurant. He returned to the bridge at 9 p.m. He discussed the weather and ice warnings with Second Officer Charles Herbert Lightoller. After 20 minutes, he went into the chart room, leaving instructions for him to be called if conditions deteriorated. Lightoller went off duty at 10 o'clock, handing over to First Officer Murdoch. Lightoller went to bed just before 11:30 after making his rounds of the ship.
10 minutes later.
Up in the crow's nest, lookouts Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee were looking ahead in the bitterly cold wind. At 11:40 p.m., Fleet rang the crow's nest bell 3 times and picked up the telephone connecting him with the bridge. Iceberg, right ahead, he called. He described what he saw. The bird came ever closer. The ship then responded to Murdoch's emergency instructions. Hard starboard, full astern, hard a port. The prow swung slowly across, and the Iceberg passed along the starboard side of the ship before disappearing aft. It seemed like a near miss.
But it wasn't.
But the Iceberg had bumped along the ship's hull below the waterline, shearing off rivet heads, penetrating parts of the hull, and opening overlapping plate seams. A gash of between 250 and 300 feet long had been made below the waterline along the front part of the starboard hull. The whole impact had taken only 10 seconds. Many people on board didn't even notice the event. Others reported feeling a slight vibration. Some people came up on deck to see why the ship was now stopping. And on the third-class deck, men were seen playing football in the forward well deck, with some of the ice which had fallen from the towering berg as she passed. There was no clue to the imminent disaster. Captain Smith had rushed to the bridge and checked that all the electrically operated emergency watertight doors below had been closed, and ordered a quick inspection of the ship. It was only then that the enormity of the damage to her hull became apparent. The Titanic was divided into 16 watertight compartments and could float with any two, possibly 3 or 4 of them, completely flooded. But this long glancing blow meant that the 6 forward compartments were flooded. The bulkheads this far from the prow only reached up to the saloon deck, some lower still, and as the ship was weighed down with the seawater flooding in and began to sink by the head, the water would rise above these compartments to
Filling
fill
up
the
the
next,
and the next one, and so on.
It
It
was
was
inevitable
inevitable that
that the
Titanic
Titanic
was
was
sick.
sick. Thomas Andrews, the ship's designer, confirmed this to Captain Smith. But still, the passengers were unaware of their imminent peril.
Indeed. No one would know.
Up onto the deck.
Wait, why are you skimming forward?
No, just skip up. I skip over the just it's just how it is. Passengers would never know until now.
Some still thought this was near safety, even at near midnight. What distinguished this operation in its early stages was the quiet orderliness of people remaining on the hull like calm. It was a cold, clear, starlit night as people filled the decks. Those in the upper classes arriving before the greater numbers of third-class passengers were the furthest away from the boat. The sea was a flat car, but Captain Smith knew there would only be enough space to the people on board. Down in the Maiden, the captain ordered the operators to stand by, then returned a few minutes later at 12:15 a.m. to tell them to send the international distress call, CQD. The position was estimated as 41 degrees 46 minutes north, 50 degrees 24 minutes west. At 12:25, this was changed to 41 degrees 46 minutes north, 50 degrees 14 minutes west. The revised signal being picked up by the liner Carpathia nearly 60 miles away. She immediately altered course and steamed towards the stricken giant.
She only has one stack.
And then
You say it has one funnel.
well, of
Yep.
course, all the liner. Some have 2, 3, or even 4, but one was ordinary.
Captain Smith again came to the wireless room and asked what they were sending. CQD, Phillips replied. Harold Bride joked, "Send SOS, it's a new call. It may be your last chance to send it."
First time the SOS was ever used.
Shortly after, the first lifeboat was lowered, containing only 19 or 20 people. No lifeboat drill had been given to passengers at any time on the voyage, and many crew were unclear about their lifeboat stations. But then Quartermaster Rowe began firing off distress rockets at 5-minute intervals and people were now less reluctant to climb into the lifeboats being prepared for lowering. The evacuation of the ship now ceased to be so calm and orderly.
You can see it in the movies as well. They did the exact same thing. The eyewitnesses saw them climbing up the distress rockets.
Oh, Movie 18.
Yeah, that's her name, Mildred Dean. Yeah. One of the survivors of Titanic.
When I watched the Titanic, the movie, with my mom, in the film, one of the people just didn't even care to get off the ship. They just instead,
They mean the Isidore Strauss. They stayed until the end.
they drowned. I just find it strange as a kid.
Well, they weren't going to leave each other. Wherever one goes, the other follows.
So they chose the sacrifice.
No, basically, they just went down as a happy couple.
I think this event is similar to what happened to the SS Atlantic.
Oh God! I know. That was the worst until the Titanic overthrew that one.
Led by Wallace Hartley, had been playing inside the liner. Now they moved out onto the deck, and almost incongruously played jaunty ragtime. As each lifeboat reached the water, it moved away from the ship, for fear of the suction which was hit. Some rowed towards the lights of a ship which could be seen just a few miles away. This ship was never identified and never reached.
Of course, there are
Indeed.
still threats of legal things even these days about whether the ship was so close to us was the Californian or not. I mean, I saw that ship terribly close. And the other thing I'm saying is that I didn't see a ship 19 miles away. I saw a ship that was so close, and they said at the time it was less than 9 miles away. Now they're trying to say it's 19. I saw it. It wasn't just lights on the horizon. You could see it was a ship. And I saw our rocket that ship. Well, this inquiry says that they see it. Of course, it's a danger. I just saw them under the Atlantic at night. That rocket smells me in trouble.
The Titanic's bow seemed lower and lower.
All the lights, it's very near the end.
With great courage, every one of the liner's engineers steered its post in the bowels of the ship to keep the pumps, lights, wireless, and other functions operational.
And apparently, as you know, none of those meters down there survived. Not a single one.
Women and children first were the rules of lifeboats. Some men were allowed in as boats were hurriedly lowered, and no ladies could be seen.
Oh.
J. Bruce Ismay, managing director of White Star, himself stepped into a partially filled boat. First and second class passengers were led to the boat. Third class had to find their own way as best they could. 1:30, Bruce rushed boat 13 as she was about to be lowered. The fifth officer Lowe had to fire his revolver along the side of the ship to close. At 1:40 a.m., the last rocket was fired. The last of the rigid lifeboats to be lowered began to kick off.
Okay, someone's mic's definitely acting up. Come on, Bradley.
Oh, wait, what's going on?
Your mic, that was your mic, mate. It was really irritating.
Sounds like a static from like Slender Man.
It did, yeah. It was like someone was cutting a massive giant can, just squished it up. That was really irritating.
And creepy.
Yeah, it was creepy. It was like the Slender engine was about. Oh, Jesus Christ.
The boat deck now only 15 feet above sea level, instead of her usual 62 feet. 2 of the collapsible boats were successfully launched. The third was launched at 2:05, by which time the forecastle was underwater and promenade deck A was awash. At about this time, Thomas Andrews, who had designed this great ship, was last seen standing in the first-class smoking room. He was standing, arms folded, life jacket off, staring straight ahead at a painting above the mantelpiece. The Approach to Plymouth Harbour by Norman Wilkinson.
Just as we see in the movies. Exactly as it happened.
Captain Smith released the wireless operators from their duties, but Phillips carried on sending distress messages while the power held out. The captain then walked along the deck telling his men,
It's every man for himself.
Incredibly, the lights still burned. At 2:10, she lurched and sank deeper. The last collapsible lifeboat and some men were washed off the deckhouse, and this lifeboat B landed upside down in the water.
There was no chance of
rescue. Men clambered to at least
Even because it was in the movie.
Yep.
That's when the band played their last song.
Some say awesome.
But in truth, it was known as Nearer My God to Thee.
Well, there's no question about that was played, and there's no question about after we were down on the water, and they were playing one version of the hymn of Near My God, it was 2 or 3, and the one they played was the one that was played in church. Some months after the after my grandmother, and I was so frightened I came out of church, I ran out, I knew the tune so well. I won't heard it, no, it's just very fun.
Now it's where it all comes to an end.
Now the stern rose out of the water. 2 4-inch diameter cable stays snapped, and the forward funnel crashed down to starboard, crushing the bridge wing and killing several people in the water. The warship generator pushed the upturned lifeboat away from the ship. There were varying reports of Captain Smith's mechanism. One claimed he committed suicide on the bridge with his revolver. Another that he swam up to a lifeboat with a baby in his arms, with the baby in the boat, and sank beneath the water.
Was that Bovina?
I don't think so. And then another, he simply went down with his vessel, but I'm sure he did.
He went down with his ship. Perhaps he too had been killed by the collapsing funnel. But others say he swam towards the upturned collapsible lifeboat before turning away and disappearing in the darkness. 1,500 people were still on board as now the bridge submerged. The stern rose higher in the air. Those in the lifeboats heard the terrible crashing sounds as boilers broke loose from their seatings and crashed down through the vessel, along with many tons of coal, baggage, and all the loose furniture and fittings of the great ship.
At that same time, those lights were going out. Flashed one more time, and they were finally extinguished.
It broke up.
100 feet of her stern rose to a near vertical position,
And there she held
for a considerable time, silhouetted against the stars on the calm and clear night. The visible part of the ship apparently settled back before it, too, disappeared beneath the sea.
It was that indication that Titanic had broken off and split in two.
And we rode away from the ship, of course, because we had to do that. And we rode away, and I saw that ship, and I saw that ship breaking home. And for 7 years, we had argued with me about it. But now at last, the person to let me on and down, she did like me. I know she did. And the forepart went down, and the start of that ship out in the water. And we heard the dreadful sound surrounding. And then it was sound like it was so full, over. The officers pulled all the boats together, and one in that boat and 2 in us and 3 in us, and I get separated from them. And that was terrifying. But the most dreadful sound to me is the sound of people burning. Screams. My mother used to say sometimes, couldn't get me to talk about the earth, but was better idea anyway. I said that you said, but do you remember the silence? That's quite right. He said, the whole world keeps once the lights come
Now there was nothing to do but wait for rescue. Among those standing on the oxygen deck was Harold Hunt, the wildfire, who confirmed to his companions that April was on the way. At 3:30 a.m., she was sighted on the horizon, firing rockets, and at 4:30 she was on the scene. Carpathia arrived with the dawn, and by 8:30 had taken on board 705 survivors and 14 lifeboats, the rest being set adrift.
And we were picked up, as you know, in the morning by this little ship, the Carpathia, and the rescue of people from lifeboats in mid-ocean is quite a terrifying thing. These little boats, shall we say, draw up alongside, for want of a better expression, to what looks like an enormous vessel. She was quite a small vessel, the Carpathia, but she looked big. And then how did you get on board? You don't have a gangplank like you do when you're ashore. And so they opened a sort of, I don't know whether the word is right, a hatch in the side of the ship where the luggage used to be laid. And they threw down rope ladders, and people like my mother and other grown-ups had to climb up in mid-ocean up a swaying rope ladder. She said it was the most terrifying thing. Sailor behind, sort of holding on. And then, what did the children do? We couldn't climb up a rope ladder. So they got these big luggage nets, and the mesh is very wide apart. It's quite a big mesh. Children would have slipped, so it's small children. Anyway, our legs and feet. So each child was put in a sack. And I remember being petrified when I was put in that sack, and it was tied around, and the sack full of these children were put into these huge nets, and quite safely, of course, on board. That really was quite terrifying. Having got on board, of course, I couldn't find another. And I didn't find her for hours, eventually. And I'm quite sure one of the most pathetic things must have been the whole the next day, how these poor women, such as my mother, roamed about the ship looking to see if they could see the husband they left behind. But no one found him.
En route to New York, Captain Rostron only allowed official and personal messages to be sent from the ship by radio. Newspapers, most denied hard copies, made up their own fanciful accounts of the disaster.
It was only until Carpathia made something known. Eventually, the world would know for the Charlie Club.
Gradually, the dreadful news of the disaster was released to the world. Memorial services were held on both sides of the Atlantic, while the crew were detained under virtual arrest until the official inquiries were carried out, their pay having been stopped from the moment of sinking. Controversy reigned over who was to blame, and whether the nearby ship, the California, could indeed have rescued everyone on board, if only her wireless operator hadn't closed down his ship 20 minutes before the collision of the iceberg. The lookouts certainly saw and counted the rockets, but thought these might have been company signals used for identification purposes on ships still not fitted with radio. They also appeared to be too low for a ship reportedly so near. The American inquiries placed blame for the disaster on J. Bruce Ismay, the fact that the Titanic was sailing at relatively full speed, 21 knots at the time of collision, knowing there were icebergs in the area, and the lack of sufficient lifeboats. The English inquiry also blamed the speed and inadequate provision of lifeboats, but also cited Captain Smith. After this tragedy, ships
I think
were
I would
patrolled
blame the iceberg for that.
was slower and always had lifeboats provisioned for all on board.
Well, I never blame Captain Smith for the disaster.
Well, it was also Lightower.
Lightower wasn't blamed either. He did what he could.
"63% of the Titanic's first-class passengers survived, 42% of second-class, and 25% of third. 23% of the crew saved.
705 survived,
leaving
leaving
1,500
souls to perish in the
icy
ice.
seas of the North Atlantic. But the press of the day concentrated not so much on the loss of life and who was to blame, but on how British and American values of heroism, honour, and courage had been upheld throughout the tragedy. Men behaved as men should be. All heroes, everyone. And on Captain Smith's reputed last words, "Be British." For over 70 years, the Titanic lay undiscovered in the depths of the Atlantic. There were fanciful ideas that she would still be intact, that corrosion would be minimal, that she was at such a great depth, that she could be refloated.
That's when it all
On
changed.
September 1st, 1985, the American Naval Research Vessel Moore from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute discovered it.
Titanic after 73 years.
The scientist in charge was Dr. Boyle, and many fascinating photographs and video pictures were taken on this and a subsequent visit to the site in July 1986. The liner is broken into two main sections, but sits upright with her handles down. She is severed just aft of her second hand, and the stern section is 800 meters away. Much of the central section lies as shattered segments on the seabed.
Now she's honoured a memorial for those lost souls and a place letter of respect to pay tribute to those who lost it, and also to remember a disaster that should never have happened in the first place 110 years ago.
So your mic has been acting up.
It's okay, Kane.
I know I can't help it. I get very teary-eyed. It just happens a lot. Besides all that, we're getting very close to the end of part 1 anyway. So part 2 will be happening at some point, either before it happens or maybe after. I don't know. But on April 14th, I will be available.
I think your mic just kept acting up loud, and it wasn't mine.
Even for me.
Mine was okay. There was no problem on my end. Can't be me echoing.
But it kept cackling up.
I think it has to do with all of our mics open.
Who knows? Besides that, guys,
when they supposed to film that Titanic, there's a faulty underwater cables that caused the bit to start to lose connection.
Besides that, guys, I'll be back in a second, but continue talking.
You know, those remote cameras in 1985, the underwater cables have been faulty, and it's causing snow to pee on the film, and it's like it's about to lose connection.
Lose connection. Damn.
The underwater cables are connected to remote cameras. And they're faulty.
In the film, there were actually two different endings.
They're in the remote cameras underwater.
Okay, guys, I'm back. I think we'll be ending this very shortly. Besides all that, I think we might have to act something. Actually, I've got to give them an hour. But anyways, guys, thanks very much for tuning in for this special part 1 of the 110th anniversary of the RMS Titanic's disaster. Hopefully, we'll get to see you in part 2, and you know, we'll see what happens. We might end up getting a 10,000 salute, but we'll see what will happen. One of you guys, you know, come when you need to. And if it gets a little too much, you can always leave and drop out if you have to.
Guys!
Yeah, like I said, I'll be coming back at some point, but I think for now, I think part 1 has been done. Again, guys, I don't normally, you know, like you saw me earlier, I don't normally cry a lot on camera as much, but that's what happens regarding Titanic. It happens to me too much. Like I said, I wasn't like that growing up, but ever since 2009, it just does. I can't explain why. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in, Tommy Trains. It was nice to meet you last, and see you too, Robert.
Well, it's my first time being here.
And well, it's a good job where you came on a history event, so congrats, mate.
You know what?
So anyways, take care of you guys, and hopefully we'll sail again for part 2, maybe on April 13th, or maybe the day after. I don't know. But,
on April 11th.
You know, no, that's tomorrow.
And I have school.
Well, we'll come at some point, or whatever the case may be. But you know, on April 14th, I'll be up all night. Because I'll be up. Because as every time I'm up all the way until about roughly 2:20 in the morning, because that was the time Titanic made contact with the full dead. So that's what I might have to do. But in any case, I'll have to get going. Thanks for tuning in, lads, and hopefully we'll take part in the part 2 and see where it goes. Take care, lads, and smooth sailing, and remember Titanic forever. Godspeed, you lads.